Vigilante Williamson here with a clip from my show.
Let's get into Chris Pratt. This Jezebel, this garbage. And okay, I'm going to point out these weird leftist writers. And I talked about how feminism hates not just black men, just men in general. And it's just Jezebel, a feminist magazine for a failing company. If I remember correctly, I think I even did a report about how this corporation, I think the IO9 Corporation, all these different blogs are failing. And I think this is the crap why. Oh, Chris Pratt, just come out and say you're a Republican. Thanks. Somehow there are 2 mere weeks before Election Day, which is both comforting and nauseating. The next 2 weeks are critical. Maybe they don't mean spit. Regardless of what you stand on what's happening on November 3rd, if you're not quite sure about who you're going to vote for, let the cast of an Avengers movie minus Chris Pratt, spicy, convince you otherwise. So, word on the street is the people who played the Avengers movies are assembling and the star power to do a fundraiser for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and then it gives this list of actors. Who was missing for the list? Ends with a Chris. Begins with a Chris and is with a rat. This is disgusting. They keep calling him Chris Pratt throughout this article. There's other names missing, like Robert Downey, but they didn't want to attack him, which they probably are now, as I'll show a little bit later, because they defend him, actually. And it just goes on, talks about MAGA. He's a MAGA-loving, big red, too buff Republic. Like, what is this? This is just crazy. Crispy Rat. You call him names because he doesn't want to go, or as it says, may not have even been invited. Let me see. This is the second article where they break down the fact that he said a lot of stuff on both ends, and I'm trying to see. They talk about homophobic teachings, which leftists will stop against Islamophobia and homophobia. Pick one. But of course, he's a Christian, so therefore he's homophobic. Even though he's a Republican, even though he's giving money to Democrats, he's giving money to Barack Obama. But I'm trying to look for the part where it says, and I know you're probably reading it, but I'm trying to read through a mask. It's always an issue. Oh, here it is. It said Chris Pratt would notably sit out the event, or he wasn't invited. So we don't even know if he was even invited to this event, but he has to be attacked by Jezebel, by this dweeb Megan Reynolds. She has to attack Chris Pratt. He's Crispy Rat, all of this crap because Megan Reynolds. And don't attack her. Don't say anything about her. You know what I mean? She puts this guy out there. I'll put her out there. It's not right. You can't. It's not fair. Same with this Joan Summers person. Is he a Republican? I torture myself with a decade of internet history. And granted, I know these writers are just trying to make money, but you don't have to attack people to make money. It goes about, Chris Pratt's career, calls him homophobic, public works destroyer, because socialism, if you don't believe in socialism, you're the devil, will burn you down just to prove it. And he was, again, missing at a Parks and Recreation, because he was on that show. He was missing at one of those events as well. They had an event supporting the Democratic Party. He sat it out. And this is the one. He said it was not representative. They quote him as saying, remember when he said there wasn't enough representation for white men? That is not what he said. And this is, again, feminism being diminishing to black people in a subversive way, which is not surprising because Gloria Steinem got pumped and dumped, and that energy has never left. Because what Chris Pratt says, he doesn't see any personal stories that necessarily resonate with him because they're not his stories. There's room for him to tell. Let me just read the quote. I don't see personal stories that necessarily resonate with me because they're not my stories, said Pratt. I think there's room for me to tell mine and probably an audience that will be hungry for them. The voice of the average blue-collar American isn't necessarily represented in Hollywood. There are black blue-collar Americans. There are Latino blue-collar Americans. In fact, most black, Latino, and all all races, whatever. Most people are blue collar Americans, but these latte liberals who racked up student debt and body counts want to tell you he needs more white representation because he wants more blue collar stories. Every goddamn story for like 20 years is some liberal in New York who writes for a magazine, who has this expensive ass apartment, never has a financial problem, having a romantic issue. How many rom-coms have that setup? There's no blue collar stories. Or superhero movies, everyone's a billionaire or superpowered. There's no blue collar stories. There's no regular people stories, normal people stories given like real attention. Black, white, Mexican, whoever. It's not about necessarily race all the damn time. But you demons don't even understand it. Lauren Evans. Was she the one who looked really crazy? Oh no, she just looks. Sheesh. Okay. And then it looks like she has an article. She calls him a dirtbag. This is an old article. This is from 2017. But that was just what they thought. Oh, he's saying something about how he thinks white people need more representation because he wants blue collar stories. No, he just wants normal people represented. And this is again from 2017. And I found this crazy story where Ellie Goulding, and I'm not even 100% sure who she is, but this is just so indicative of what I think of the left, and I want to be proven wrong. I wish I could, if there was someone in my chat who was hardcore lefty, please discuss this, because this is the mentality I think. This Ellie Goulding woman, she says she sweats and doesn't shower after. Okay. It's a bit gross. Sometimes I don't shower at all if we're going to the studio. Even after I train, she says, I feel like I never smell. We talk about the expression, you act like your shit doesn't stink. She literally says that even after she sweats, she doesn't stink. She doesn't stink, she stinks. She feels like she doesn't stink. So yeah, that just bugged me. It's like that is in the mentality of a lot of people, not just a lot of narcissists in this era. And that's an old article, but I just saw it and I'm like, okay, I gotta say something about that, because again, that energy still permeates. There's no way I could be wrong. It's those evil Trump supporters. Well, hey, like, I don't like Trump. Let's talk. I bet you it's a lot of people that can have a common ground. We can discuss things and probably get a lot of these politicians, whoever you want, out the way and really get actual change of things for the people. And I just gave that talk about Chris Pratt and Robert Downey Jr. and leftist Mark Ruffalo defend Chris Pratt after the actor is dubbed the worst Hollywood Chris by another evil magazine wants to be they're so clever because Chris Pratt doesn't go to their fundraiser, maybe not even invited, who knows, but they're so clever, they're so smart. And RDJ hadn't really gotten in the culture war. I got to give him and Mark Ruffalo a lot of credit. Robert Downey Jr., he has a lot to lose by saying this. He was no longer Iron Man. His last movie was a bomb, a huge financial bomb. We see the attention and the vitriol people get for talking out or just having a neutral opinion. Because again, Chris Pratt doesn't have a MAGA hat. His only crime, and I actually deleted the tab, his only crime was making a joke about onward and voting. Of course, he's the worst person on earth because he doesn't support Joe Biden and horrible Kamala Harris. But Robert Downey Jr. has a lot to lose. And Mark Ruffalo, who I just last week, I stand by everything I said because he said something that's very dangerous, because he was trying to defend Kamala Harris just because of her race and the fact that she was a woman, and that's a dangerous precedent to set, because then you could just have someone who's protect the class who basically becomes all powerful by those rules. That's why critical theory is disturbing and detrimental in general. But despite me disagreeing completely with Mark Ruffalo and really being pretty upset with him, quite frankly, with a lot of things he said, not just then, but just in the past, this is extremely stand up for Mark Ruffalo. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due, because again, has a lot to lose and is a unabashed leftist, an unabashed Kamala Harris and Biden supporter. That's who he's for. But when he sees his friend attacked by that mob, he stood up for him. And you gotta have balls to do that. I mean, you can lose a lot. You know what the mob is gonna do to you when that happens. You know what phone calls you're gonna get right after, and you may not get other phone calls when it comes to work. And to have the chutzpah to do that when you yourself are a leftist and are on the side of the left, the side that's attacking him, that takes a stand-up guy, whether I like him or not, and I got to give him credit for that. And so I'll get into the article. And also his wife, of course, which, hey, got to have a ride or die, right? So, Catherine Schwarzenegger, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo defend Chris Pratt after said that being mean. So yesterday, Pratt's wife, Catherine Schwarzenegger Pratt, wrote, said, Catherine Schwarzenegger Pratt, RDJ, and Ruffalo defend Chris Pratt after an internet challenge named him the worst Hollywood Chris. Everybody hates Chris. The author and new mother at 30 came to her husband's defense after filmmaker Amy Berg asked people on Twitter which Hollywood Chris has to go. Who the hell is Amy Berg? Pratt began trending over the weekend as a result of responding to an Instagram post by E! News that asked followers the same question. Schwarzenegger wrote, "Is this really what we need? Facts. There's so much going on in the world. People are struggling in so many ways." She continued, "Being mean is so yesterday. There's enough room to love all these guys. Love is all we need, not meanness or bullying. Let's try that." And then this is tweets. Downey Jr., and he's getting killed on Twitter. I know of that. But again, Twitter's not representing anything. It's fake. It's not real. But who cares? The media has to use it as a straw man. And Ruffalo, Pratt's Avengers Endgame co-stars, also replied on Twitter challenge, writing on their respective social media accounts. "What a world. The sinless are casting stones at my brother Chris Pratt," Downey Jr. said. That's, again, stand up. He wrote on Instagram along with a photo of him and Pratt on the set of Avengers Endgame. "A real Christian who lives by principle has never demonstrated anything but positivity and gratitude, and he is just married into a family that makes space for civil discourse and just plain facts. Insists on service as the highest value. If you take issue with Chris, I got a novel idea," Downey Jr. continued. "Delete your social media accounts, sit with your own defects of character, and work on them, then celebrate your humanness." And he said, "At Pratt, I got your back. Wow. That's some leadership. Listen. Like, I know RDJ's a real one. That's a real one. Not everybody has. He has no need to do that. None. He gains nothing from doing that. He's going to be killed from doing it. He's getting killed from doing that. He can lose jobs. I know he has FU money, but still, that's a ballsy move. And then Ruffalo, again, a guy who's on the left unabashedly, said, "You all at Pratt is a solid man." That's Chris Pratt's Twitter. "As a solid man as there is, I know him personally, and instead of casting aspersions, look at how he lives his life." Ruffalo at 52 continued, He's just not overly political as a rule. This is a distraction. Let's keep our eyes on the prize, friends. We're so close now." Because he's still pushing his train. But he just said, hey, he's not over political. That's just how he is. That's how a lot of people are. That's how I really was. And I just felt the need, because of all this craziness, that I have to speak. I feel voiceless. And I don't want to feel voiceless. But he's not political. He doesn't deserve to be attacked. Nobody for just liking Trump should be attacked. In general, for not even, like, we've moved this so far crazy. Of course, if you're a Trump supporter, you need your teeth knocked out. You should be shot dead if you're a police officer. Obviously, because ACAB, BLM. Unless it's a black man that doesn't listen to the white leftist mob. Then we got to shoot him, kill him, beat him down, burn his building down, burn down his business, so we can give him socialism to get rid of the racist capitalism. It's garbage. It's complete garbage.